Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. My name is Nicole Simpson. I am the marketing manager at Verytus, and today I'm joined by our vice president, Michael Fajardo, and the chief information security officer at Sons Insurance, Glenn DeStefano. To start us off, would you both give us some background about yourselves and how you got into the insurance space?
Sure. My experience supporting the insurance industry by leveraging technology has provided some really great insights across all the different sectors, including property and casualty, workers' comp, and direct-to-consumer benefits. And with the recent hype surrounding ChatGPT and other tools, focused on machine learning, I think it's inevitable that these will really help revolutionize underwriting and claims management functions altogether.
Good morning to both of you. I've worked for Suns since its inception in various IT leadership roles since 2005. Prior to joining Suns, I've been in various positions that supported the PEO and staffing industries for many years in leadership, technology, or operational roles. The focus of cybersecurity came as a natural progression over the last few years as the cyber landscape grew. Knowing that we needed a focused department on cybersecurity, I moved over from the CTO role into my current role as CISO.
I wanted to bring you both on today to really challenge people's perspective on how AI is being used through the worker comp sector and why we aren't being as vigilant as we should be on cybersecurity. As you both know, there are many, many positives to an automated claims process, and we have witnessed that through not only our own internal software, but at least as part of my job as a marketing manager, I have to sift through tons and tons of articles that focus on the positive effects of automation on the claim lifecycle.
No, you're absolutely right. And in the tech world, we're starting to see this new surge of fresh ideas that have stemmed from long-awaited trials and errors. So, not to sit on the COVID topic for long, but these unfortunate events really provided a great opportunity for many people to deep dive into data analytics altogether. Working smarter became a clear focus as challenges transitioned to a more virtual environment with everyone working from home.
Michael, while we're on the topic, what benefits are we seeing now, and what trends could we expect to see as AI and automation continue to develop within the insurance space?
Well, speaking from personal experience, insurance in many ways is still a very old industry. It's only recently that we have begun noticing attempts to modernize policy quoting, underwriting, and other functions used across individual and commercial lines of business. A fully 100% automated process has not been adapted to my knowledge. However, from recent research this year done by McKinsey, they expect that one-fourth of the processes in the insurance industry will be automated by 2025 through the usage of artificial intelligence. And I think that's really big, will have a tremendous impact.
As someone who's been part of the insurance industry for such a long time, it's actually been an amazing process to witness. On the claim side, adjusters can focus more on client satisfaction rather than having to focus on the manual side of managing a claim, which of course will lead to long-standing relationships and better communication with our insureds and claimants. We can also take this as another benefit of AI with caution. As we know, today in the email world, we have more and more correspondences coming that way. And the more active you are online and through email, the bigger the target becomes on your back or the company's back as far as phishing attacks or cyber attacks are concerned.
Yeah, that's very true, Glenn. And as we are moving into our discussion on cybersecurity efforts, is there something that you want to warn others about when looking at a suspicious email? And again, this can be targeted to adjusters for our discussion today.
Sure, Nicole. That list could be endless. I think every day here on the cybersecurity desk, quote unquote, we are dealing with new challenges every single day. But I do have kind of a top 5 that I like to enforce with new team members and reinforce with old team members through training that we do. Number 1, although it may seem obvious, is the sender's email address. Make sure that the email address domain, so in our case, sonsinsurance.com, matches the company's web address or is very, very similar and recognizable to you. Be on the lookout for small variations, something like a number 1 replacing the letter I or L. We saw this exact situation about a year and a half ago where someone was spoofing our employees. Grammar and spelling. Most phishing emails contain grammatical errors, misspellings, or awkwardly constructed sentences. Request for personal or privileged information. An email should never request back via email. As an example, your social security number, passwords, or credit card details. You should be sent to a secure site to put those in, which again is recognizable, or this information should come via a secure email. Urgency. This one is almost always part of the phishing attempt. Emails that are just creating a sense of urgency for you to do something immediately, or I need you to react immediately to this email. And then the last one, which is probably the most issue that gets tricked up for employees and for our team members, is the hyperlinks that come in emails. You should hover over those links to look at them to see if they bring you to a valid website. Most of the time when it's a phishing email, it'll be gibberish. So that won't send you to, again, www.sunsinsurance.com. It will send you to a gibberish site that you wouldn't recognize.
Glenn, I think those are some really great points. And just quickly adding on to that, I know even within our own company, we use some artificially intelligent programs to help combat cybersecurity threats. Is that correct?
It is. While I can't name the specific products, due to security reasons, we do utilize several products to protect our environments, team members, insureds, and claimants' information that all tend to use various levels of AI. One product that we use looks at patterns of action of a user, machine, or simply a process over time and decides if that action is suspect. So basically, since the day we installed this product, it has been looking at all the traffic that comes out of our network, laptops, workstations, user activities. And what it's doing is it's scoring those. And if a user tries to do something that is outside of what it considers to be an acceptable score, it will autonomously take action to stop the threat within seconds on our environment. At last count, I think we were somewhere around 1.4 million actions that it was looking at.
Oh, that sounds very powerful. Similar to some of the functionality that you mentioned, I know claims cost containment follows a very similar practice. So identifying red flags and indicators of fraud or subrogation or other opportunities for cost reduction. The challenge really lies in identifying the right indicators and keeping updated as the industry evolves. So things like reporting lag, history of fraudulent activity, injured workers, denying drug tests, and many other factors can really indicate a potential sign of just tremendous fraud.
Of course, just as we're becoming more sophisticated in AI, I think it would be naive for us to believe that fraudsters aren't using it as well, if not more than we are. Our adjusters are sometimes handed unspoken job requirements, and to name a few, let's think of the constant but necessary awareness of the new indicators that come up every single year. And they're leveraging their industry knowledge by thinking outside of the box in order to stop that fraudulent activity on claims before it does happen. And Michael, building upon pain points and using our own teams as an example for today, what are some other AI challenges that we should be looking out for, and how should we be approaching those?
Yeah, I mean, as I previously mentioned, with innovation comes trial and error. So companies who have led the way in leveraging AI tools often find themselves taking a very conservative approach to mitigate the potential risk of policies lacking manual review. So in many instances, general pricing is increased to offset outliers not accounted for.
AI is really in its infancy stage in its life cycle at this point. A lot of buzz happening about it, obviously. We're talking about it today. I think if you go to any tech page today, you'll see something mentioned about AI. But we really must be cautious to use AI simply as a tool to assist us. Much like this old man used to use encyclopedias, when I was writing papers, when I was in school. Just recently, Italy has actually banned the use of ChatGPT after the company suffered a serious data breach over privacy concerns. If people are entering private information into chatbots, search engines, who is to say it will not store that information and cause a potential concern if a breach exists? I'm very hesitant to load any product unless it's fully isolated within our environments, so not sitting in a third-party tool. We could potentially have PII or HIPAA information in those tools that we must protect. Lastly, I would say one of the biggest concern I have is not of our use of AI, but the use of third-party vendors using AI with our data. Companies must have a strong third-party management program in place to not only initially vet out new vendors, but also on an annual basis follow up with existing vendors. Supply chain attacks are one of the most common vulnerabilities that exist today for organizations like ours.
Right, Glenn. I think that ChatGPT has hit the market much louder than previous attempts, and I think that is due to generational expectations surrounding it. With the onset of remote work, there has been a significant push for more personal health days, simplified resumes. We are seeing job gaps being left out of resumes. And circling back to automation, our society is looking for more efficient ways to get tedious work done. All of that to say, with this new relaxed working culture, we are becoming more vulnerable and trusting, which does open doors for potential hacking. And ChatGPT has experienced a very heavy amount of testing and pushing the bounds for millions of people. And in an office setting, testing on work computers can become very dangerous.
Yeah, it certainly can, and that's why we test. We have test environments, we have production environments that we're always looking at. But from a general perspective, I think that I can provide some, cybersecurity tips for businesses in order to reduce their potential data breach. Keeping in mind this list is far from complete, just like the list I gave previously on email. Number one may seem simple, but utilizing strong and unique passwords in your environment. While there is a huge push for passwordless today we still do live in a world with passwords. And they should be a minimum of 12 characters, numbers, upper and lowercase letters, using common hacker software. In theory, it could take somebody 2,000 years to brute force that password. If someone was to only use 9 characters with the exact same complexity, numbers, upper or lowercase, could potentially only take them 3 days. That is a huge delta just by adding a mere 3 characters to a password. Always enable multi-factor authentication. That is a given in today's world. Storing backups in a non-attached environment, and those backups should be stored in an immutable state so they can't be changed. Cyber attacks happen, crypto locking happens. You have to have a way to be able to restore back to a usable data set or environment. Employee awareness. Conduct regular cybersecurity training sessions to educate our employees about potential threats, phishing attacks, and safe browsing practices. This is a huge one that companies should be doing. Vendor security, again, going back on that third-party risk assessment, companies should have a strong program in place that they evaluate companies that house your data and how they protect it. Continuous network scanning, basically what that does is it's constantly looking at your systems to see if there's anything nefarious going on in your systems. And I'm a firm believer in third-party annual penetration testing as well. Regular updates. People may say, oh, my machine just updates. You need to check. Organizations should have a very strong update policy to keep software, applications, and operating systems up to date with the latest security patches and upgrades that are available.
And those are some really good tips, Glenn. I'm really glad that, cybersecurity is taken so seriously, especially with all the personal data that we hold on behalf of our clients. But also picking up on some of the best practices from the claim side, right? Where I've seen automation prove successful is in delivering value to some of those manual components of the claim process. So again, that balance between tech and touch really allows for automation to focus and adjusters' attention and efforts on claims with the highest propensity for fraud or subrogation or anything else that we might be scanning for.
I think it's great that we're ending things on a positive note here, and sorry to cut off this great conversation and dialogue. We are running out of time today, but as always, we encourage you, the listeners, to comment below any tactics you have that you've seen helpful in combating potential insurance fraud, whether that is through an automated claims process or through a phishing scheme. Glenn, Michael, thank you so much for joining me today and bringing forth some unique insight into the insurance claim and cyberspace.
Thank you both for the opportunity to speak today and share a little piece of my world as CISO.
Of course. Thank you guys for the time. I'm always happy to share insights into the insurer tech space.
Today's show notes will be in the description below. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can listen to our podcast through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube.